about something that's really interesting and something that I just don't think anyone has gotten on their radar, and it's something that you need to have on your radar. There's a guy out there named Jack Boyle, and he's got a partner named Rich Lowry, and they run their latest effort is a thing, Put Growth First. Their website is www.putgrowthfirst.com. Jack Boyle, close friend. Jack Boyle, folks, is the one that fought the fight to get your inheritance tax repealed in Ohio. So there is no more death tax in Ohio because Jack Boyle and Rich Lowry did help him on that, went out and fought for you. Rich Lowry is a very interesting guy. He actually wrote Herman Cain's 999 plan. So he's a very creative thinker and a guy that really, digs deep into statistics and understands the economy and the budgets and things like that. But they have come and found something out that is just astonishing to me. And those of you who are listening on the radio or watching this show today, if you think back, we've all been saying, even if I'm making more money, I'm not getting ahead. That for the last 5, 10, 15 years, we just haven't seemed to make any progress. And it just doesn't make any sense. And I've shared with you statistics basically over the last several weeks and months that show that that you're basically your buying power. Even if you're making more money, that you actually have less buying power than you had in the 70s. That that we literally have 7% less buying power than we had 15 years ago. And so the question is, why is that? Why is that? And Jack Boyle and Rich Lowry have discovered something that is just unbelievable, folks. It's unbelievable. And basically what they have discovered, that the Federal Reserve, the people that print the money and the people that, are supposed to keep our monetary system stable and prevent recessions. Whoops. Oh, even though we had a recession while they were doing that. Well, something really interesting happened. Okay. Prior to 1972, the Federal Reserve had a single mandate, and that was to stabilize the dollar. And remember, we had the gold standard then. So the dollar was pegged to the gold standard. Okay. And from the beginning of the Fed, back in the 40s, or even earlier, until 1972, they considered raising wages, your salary going up, as a sign of prosperity, And that was the golden age of the middle class. And so from early days all the way till 1972, while the richest 10% made more than the 90% below, they all kept going up. In other words, they all kept making more and more money. So that was really important. All right. But after 1972, the Fed changed their policy. All right. And Richard Nixon got us off the gold standard. And the Fed then said they had a dual mandate. And their dual mandate was to have full employment and price stability. Full employment and price stability. But something very interesting happened. After 1972, your wages just flatlined. Your wages did not go up at all. Matter of fact, they're actually down from 1972. And the 10%, their wages have kept going on that same curve that both the middle class and the lower class were following, along with the richest 10% throughout our history. And when Jack Boyle and Rich Lowry investigated this, they found a very interesting thing. What they found is that the Federal Reserve changed their opinion of your wages, And they discovered that the Federal Reserve now considers your wage growth inflationary. And when it's inflationary, the Fed wants to stop inflation. So what do? They raise interest rates. They slow the economy down. And basically, when they raise interest rates, they raise the cost of goods. And what does that do? That totally negates your wage. So when you get a raise, the Federal Reserve takes it away. Now, I saw this presentation by Jack Boyle, and you can have that presentation done for you as well. If you want to send me an email at tomz@teapartytalkwithtomz.com, I'll put you in touch with Jack, and he'll come speak to your group, and he'll give you the full presentation. But when I saw this by Jack, I thought, wow, that's really interesting. But guess what happened? Remember last week when the stock market dropped like 300 points in a day? That day on my news, I heard a person from the Fed say, well, we're seeing price pressure from the labor side. And that is a concern, And so we may have to adjust our policies to get rid of that inflation. Okay? And what happened? The stock market went down 300 points. Why? Because the Fed was saying exactly what Jack Boyle and Rich Lowry are saying, that this wage inflation, they call it inflation, not prosperity. You making more money, they now consider bad and something they need to stop. Okay? And they talked about making some adjustments, which the stock market reacted to. So get this, folks. The Federal Reserve is now making sure that you do not make more money, that they're holding you back. And Jack Boyle and Rich Lowry can prove it. And you got to see this presentation. If you're watching the video streaming, if you go to TeaPartyTalkWithTomD.com, you'll see an actual picture of the chart that Jack and those guys put together. And I can email that to you if you send me an email at tomz@TeaPartyTalk.com. But you just won't believe it, because our own federal government has been stopping you from getting ahead, from pursuing the American dream. It doesn't get any crazier than that, folks. And so, that's why you listen to Tea Party with Tom Z, because you learn some things that the mainstream media